This video surfaced out of China, and it looks like their city is floating in.
Picture floating around Twitter over the weekend. This shot taken on Sunday by.
Have you ever looked up at the sky and wondered, is the Lord trying to send us a message that we've just been too busy to notice? In these chaotic times, when bad news hits us like one storm after another, the sky suddenly feels like a mirror, showing something we don't want to face. Time might be running out faster than we think. Those strange clouds popping up all over the world aren't just weather anymore. They feel like mysterious calls coming straight from above. The Bible already warned us, Luke 21:25. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. Those old words don't feel old anymore. They feel like they're happening right in front of us, urgent, chilling, and meant to wake us up. Do you feel it too? Have you ever glanced up and seen a cloud so strange it actually stopped you in your tracks? Go ahead and share your stories down in the comments. I'd love to hear them. 7 things in the sky that people caught on camera just lately. A giant face hidden in the clouds. A devil's head showing up over a volcano. A huge chicken in the sky over Portland. A glowing angel above Houston. A castle floating in the air in China. A giant feather way up at 20,000 feet. And rolling cloud waves over Panama City. All of them feel like puzzle pieces in a picture the Lord wants us to see. The whole point of this video is to open our eyes to these holy reminders that keep coming. Science can try to explain them, sure, but explaining something doesn't make it untrue. There are things God doesn't say out loud. He writes them across the sky instead. And right now, He's trying to warn mankind to get ready, because the last days are closer than we think. So please don't miss any of this. Now, come along with me as we look at each strange thing in the sky and what message the Lord might be sending you personally. 1. The cloud shaped like a human face. A cloud that looked just like a person's face showed up one afternoon that seemed perfectly calm. The storms were still hanging around way off on the horizon, and the sun was throwing down its last rays of the day. Some guy driving through the countryside happened to film it, and the second that video hit the internet, social media lost its mind. Just picture it. You're cruising down a road you know like the back of your hand. You glance up, and there's this giant face staring straight down at you. Would that give you the chills, or what? The whole setting made it even creepier. This quiet little farming area where folks live slow and easy among the fields and pastures suddenly turned into the center of something that felt downright supernatural. Dark storm clouds were rolling in from far away, like heavy ribbons. Then, all of a sudden, they parted and let through this strange patch of light. And right there in that light appeared the face, clear as day. Nobody could say, "Oh, it's just a cloud." The details were sharp in a way that didn't make sense. Deep eyes, a strong nose, lips that almost looked like they were moving, even the outline of ears. The sunlight slipped through the clouds and hit that face with a glow that didn't feel normal at all. Soft, but overwhelming, like some huge being was leaning down to watch us. A lot of people who watched the video over again said it felt like that thing was looking right into their soul. How about you? If it was you, could you keep staring for long? The Bible talks about signs in the sky, and this one had folks running straight to Matthew 24:30. The verse says, "Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, with power and great glory." That old line hits hard, and this cloud face felt like a reminder. The Lord's still watching, and that final judgment day is getting closer all the time. Of course, plenty of folks are skeptical. They call it pareidolia, that thing where our brains see faces in random shapes. Science can explain how it happens, sure, but it doesn't explain why it showed up right then, in that exact spot, with that exact feeling. Clouds can look like anything, but a face this sharp appearing right where storm and light meet, pure coincidence? This wasn't a one-off. It's the first piece of 7 strange signs that are starting to pop up all over the world. like a chain of warnings straight from above. And if the first piece was already this eerie, just wait and see what's coming next. 2. The Devil's Head cloud over the volcano. Can you believe it? Way down at the cold foothills of the Andes, in a place that had been dead quiet for decades, all of a sudden, a huge roar came from deep inside the mountain. It ripped through the morning mist and left even the toughest folks standing there frozen. Nobody thought that moment would be caught on camera so clearly, but when the giant column of ash shot up and the sunlight hit it just right, something appeared that made everyone's blood run cold. Can you picture it? A massive devil's head, so clear it couldn't possibly be an accident. If you'd been standing there, would you have had the guts to stare at it for long? The Cordon Col volcano had been asleep for years, but that day it woke up like some giant beast shaking off a long nap. Thousands of people had to run for their lives in total chaos, while the sky turned this creepy copper-red color, thick with the smell of sulfur and hot ash. And right in the middle of all that mess, the sunlight cut through the cloud of ash and drew the most terrifying face, glowing eyes, a wide open mouth like it was roaring at the whole world, and the head tilted a little, almost like it was watching everything going on below. Think about it. Was that just ash, or did something want to show itself? That picture brings back an old warning a lot of folks thought was only a symbol. Revelation 12:12 says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." That's not just some prophecy. It's like a loud alarm bell telling us evil isn't only in books. When a devil's head shows up right over a screaming volcano, how can we call that random? Some people will say it's just pareidolia, that our brains love finding faces in anything messy. Sounds reasonable, sure. But take another look. Why was it so perfectly clear? Why did it happen at the exact moment the volcano was going wild? And why did the sunlight hit it like a spotlight on a stage? Science can explain the how, but it can't wipe away the why. Nature is the canvas God uses to paint his biggest reminders. This wasn't Mother Nature playing a prank. This was a sign of something stirring, a darkness waking up because its time is running out. And through all that roaring from the volcano, did you hear the warning? Stay awake. Pray. Because if the devil's head just showed up in the sky, the fight between light and darkness is closer than it's ever been. 3. The chicken-shaped cloud over Portland. On a perfectly clear sky above Portland, where everything usually feels peaceful and normal, something showed up that made the whole city look up. It wasn't a storm. It wasn't some weird light. It was a cloud that looked exactly like a chicken, so clear that everybody who saw it just stopped and stared. Imagine you're walking down the street. You glance up, and there's this giant chicken standing in the sky. What would you do? Feel shocked and wonder if maybe it's trying to tell us something? I know I sure would. That day, the weather was nothing special. Just a nice sunny day with soft layers of clouds. Stuff folks in Portland have seen 1,000 times. But this time the cloud looked like somebody shaped it on purpose. Round body, sharp beak sticking out, the comb standing straight up. Even the way it stood looked like a chicken stretching its neck to look down at the ground. No matter which angle you saw it from, it stayed the same. Pretty strange, right? A random cloud doesn't get that perfect. That moment did more than just make people curious. It brought back an old Bible verse that hits hard. Matthew 23:37 says, "Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who kill the prophets and stone those sent to you, how often I have longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, and you were not willing." The picture of a mother hen protecting her babies under her wings stands for God's love and care. So this chicken in the sky wasn't just cute. It felt like a strong reminder that the Lord is still calling us to come back to Him before it's too late. Of course, some folks will say, it's only a cloud. But if you were standing there watching every little detail sharp and clear, like an invisible hand carved it into the sky, Would you really think it was just an accident? Nature is huge, but sometimes it acts like it's trying to say something on purpose. And this cloud was so perfect. No blur, no mistake, impossible to mix up with anything else, that it's hard to brush off like there's no deeper meaning. If a devil face showing up in a volcano feels like a warning, then this chicken over Portland carries a whole different message. God wants to protect us, wants to pull us close under his wings. But that protection isn't forced. He waits for us to say yes. What do you think? A gentle, humble sign, yet it rings out loud right when the world feels upside down. And maybe, by sending something so simple and familiar that anybody gets it, the Lord is saying his arms are still wide open, just waiting for us to walk back to them. Are you ready to come home under those wings yet? 4. The angel-shaped cloud over Houston. Cars were rushing along the highway in Houston like any other busy day when one driver happened to look up at the sky and just froze. It wasn't rain or some weird light. It was an angel showing up right in the middle of those big fluffy white clouds on a Texas afternoon. You can see it too. It's one of those sights that's so beautiful it almost brings tears to your eyes. Imagine how much more amazing it would feel standing there, looking at it in person. The funny thing is, the picture was taken completely by accident. The driver just wanted a shot of the pretty sunset sky, but the photo ended up showing a clear angel with wings spread wide. The sun was hidden behind it, making this powerful halo that gives you chills when you look at it. The body is plain as day. The wings are stretched out like it's protecting something, and the light all around it feels comforting in a way that's hard to explain. Do you really think that's just a cloud? It's way too perfect, way too deliberate. Right away, a lot of folks thought of a verse in the Bible. Revelation 14:6 talks about seeing another angel flying in the sky, carrying the everlasting gospel to preach to everyone on earth, every nation, tribe, language, and people. That angel isn't some vague symbol. It's a real messenger with a final message. And when a big, busy, up and down city like Houston suddenly sees an angel hanging in the air, it's pretty hard to call that an accident. Of course, some people aren't totally sold on the spiritual side. They say it's just light playing with the clouds, that scattered sunlight can make anything look like it has wings. That makes sense on paper, but come on, why an angel? Why did the sun line up just right to make that halo? And why is the shape so sharp that everybody sees the same thing instantly? Science can explain how it happens, but it can't explain why. Nature doesn't just happen to tell a holy story like that. For a whole lot of us, that moment felt like a quiet whisper from heaven. God's still sending his angels to remind us, even in these crazy times, not to scare us, but to call us, to nudge us to turn back, say we're sorry, and get ready for what's coming. Sometimes, all it takes is one angel in the sky to make a whole city stop and ask itself, are we ready yet? 5. Mysterious castles floating in the sky. One foggy afternoon up in the mountains of China, folks were staring down at the twisty mountain road like usual, when all of a sudden, somebody yelled and pointed straight up at the sky. It wasn't an airplane, wasn't a storm cloud. It was a castle, a whole city just hanging there in the air, with towers, walls, big gates, right in the middle of the sky. Pretty hard to believe your own eyes, isn't it? This happened over a big stretch of mountains where clouds and mist often make funny shapes, but nobody had ever seen a city in the sky this sharp and huge before. The castle was glowing in the late afternoon sun, tall towers poking right into the clouds, layer after layer of walls looking like they were carved out of light. A lot of people who watched the video later said, if I didn't know it was just clouds, I'd swear it was a real kingdom. Doesn't it give you that same spooky, amazing feeling, like you're not sure what reality is showing you? When people saw it, a bunch of them right away thought of the Bible. Revelation 21:2 says, and I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband. That's not just a description. It's a promise that one day the glorious holy city really will come down. So when a castle shows up hanging in the sky like that, a lot of believers take it as a gentle reminder of the glory waiting for those who belong to the Lord. Of course, the skeptics quickly call it a fata morgana, some kind of optical illusion. Sounds reasonable enough, but those illusions are usually blurry and warped, not razor-sharp like a real city. And if it's just a coincidence, why does it look so much like the holy city coming down from heaven? Sometimes science explains how something happens, but the meaning behind it still belongs to the one who made the rules. God can use even a mirage to give people a peek at what's coming. For a lot of folks, that castle in the sky wasn't scary at all. It was a quiet, powerful reminder. Heaven is real. Hope is real. But it's also a wake-up call that the time is closer than we think. Every sign in the sky isn't just something pretty to look at. It's meant to shake us awake. And the big question for you, for me, for all of us is, are we ready to walk into that holy city when it finally comes? 6. The strange feather-shaped cloud. It felt like the sky wasn't done talking yet. While everyone was still staring at the strange signs from before, something else quietly showed up. No noise, no drama, just so beautiful it made people go silent. A huge cloud, shaped exactly like a feather, floated up there, soft as a brushstroke against the clear blue, like an invisible hand was still writing the story from heaven. From far away, a lot of folks thought it was a giant bird spreading its wings, just hanging in the air. Everything was dead still, no wind at all, and that stillness made the feather shape look sharper than ever, almost too perfect, like a real feather. Way up around 20,000 feet, tiny six-sided ice crystals wove together into something thin and delicate, but so big it wouldn't even fit in most camera frames. In the slanted sunlight, every strand of the feather glowed silver, like it was lit from the inside. Science can explain part of it. These are cirrus clouds, made of ice crystals drifting in the cold upper air. But nobody could deny how unusual this one was. Way too big, way too perfect, looking exactly like a symbol somebody planned. Some skeptics said it was just nature doing its thing by accident. But if nature's just a blind process, why did the picture mean something so clear? Why did it show up right when the world feels lost and scared and needs a reminder that we're being watched over? When you line it up with the Bible, it hits even harder. Psalm 91:4 says, "He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge." A feather isn't just something light and gentle. It's a picture of protection. That quiet feather cloud up there felt like a gentle nudge. Even when everything's shaking, God's cover is still quietly over his people. The science doesn't argue with that. It actually makes the wonder bigger. Ice crystals can make clouds, sure. But do you really think anyone except the Lord could line them up into a picture that carries a message? Where does the order come from? Who decides the meaning? Science doesn't answer those questions, but faith does. And right when people looked up and saw a giant feather hanging in the sky, a whole lot of hearts understood. This wasn't just weather. In the end, that cloud wasn't just a pretty thing that came and went. It was an invitation. In these messy, scary days when everything can fall apart in a heartbeat, God is still spreading his wings wide, covering anyone who runs to him. Under those wings, fear loses its grip, and worried hearts find peace again. The feather in the sky only lasted a few minutes, but its message stays forever. Come home, hide under his wings, because that's the only safe place left in these last days. 7. Cloud waves over Panama City. When you've seen that feather just hanging up there in the sky, I bet you've wondered the same thing I did. Can all this really just be coincidence? I reckon most of us feel something shifting these days, even if we can't quite put it into words. And right while we were still chewing on that sixth sign, the sky went and opened up again. Something even bigger, wilder, like the next page turning all by itself. The seventh thing showed up in Panama City, Florida, and the pictures were all over the world in just a few hours. Huge rolling cloud waves pouring over the tall buildings, like a silent sea rising up. From high above, the whole city looked swallowed by a white ocean, layer after layer of clouds, flowing the wrong way, almost like they were being pulled up from the bottom of the sky. It was beautiful and scary all at once, gave you chills. Science says when moist ocean air hits those big buildings, it gets lifted, something they call orographic lifting, and can spill over like a waterfall made of cloud. Happens a few times most years. But this one was different. These waves were sharper, thicker, taller, and stronger than usual. Strong enough to completely hide the highest towers, which hardly ever happens. Folks who saw it said it felt like standing in front of a wall of water, even though it was only vapor and cloud. Now look at it next to the Bible, and it lines up in a way that'll make the hair on your neck stand up. Luke 21:25 says, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars, and on the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea, and the waves roaring." In Panama City, the ocean stayed calm, but the waves were roaring. In the sky, those rolling clouds looked exactly like a tide coming in, the perfect picture of the trouble the Lord said was coming thousands of years ago. Sure, some folks say, it's just moist air meeting buildings, nothing special. But if it's only that, why did it look so much like the sea flooding the city? Why did it happen right when a whole bunch of other strange things are going on at the same time? Science can tell you how it works, but it can't tell you what it means. The Lord can use nature itself to wake up anybody who's still snoozing. Those cloud waves over Panama City remind us the roaring sea in Scripture isn't only about the real ocean, it's about everything getting shaken up. When the signs in the sky keep coming faster and louder, nobody can honestly say, "I didn't know." This isn't just something pretty to look at and forget. It's a warning. So the seventh sign is like a quiet bell ringing way up in the clouds. The time of trouble is standing right at the door. And when the sea and the sky both start roaring, the only thing left to do is get ready, stay awake, hold on to faith, and head back to the one safe place the good book keeps pointing us to. When you put these seven strange things side by side, something weird happens. They stop being just random pieces. They start fitting together into one big, heavy picture. So real, you almost feel an invisible hand touching history. A giant face shows up in the sky, like eyes staring down at humanity. A demon head appears like a message that darkness is trying to crawl back up. A huge rooster spreads its wings like it's protecting something. An angel with a trumpet looks like he's sounding the alarm. A castle made of clouds drops from heaven like a promise of the holy city. A giant feather opens up like one last shield. And finally, rolling waves of clouds rise like chaos, getting ready to swallow the world. Those seven sights, each one already creepy on its own, when you line them up like signs on a map, they turn scary in a way that's hard to put into words. See what I mean? Once all the pieces are there, the picture starts coming alive. Looking at the whole thing, three big lines stand out: warning, protection, and judgment. The face and the demon head feel like dark warnings. The rooster and the feather stand for shelter. The angel, the castle, and the wave clouds are the trumpet and the city of the last days. The way they mix together makes you feel threatened and looked after at the same time. Like God is saying, look close, because I'm warning you, protecting you, and getting ready to judge, all at once. I don't know about you, but when I sit here going through these pictures again, I feel like I'm standing in front of a painting that's alive, painted right across the sky. And I bet you feel it too. You just haven't said it out loud yet. If you put this picture next to the prophecies in the Bible, the match is so clear it's hard to call it coincidence. In Revelation chapters 6 through 19, all those parts about the seven seals, seven trumpets, and seven bowls talk about eyes in the sky, the sun going dark, evil rising, angels showing up, the holy city coming down from heaven, and the sea going wild. Those old images feel like they flowed through time and landed right in these seven things we're seeing this year. For example, Revelation 6 talks about signs in the sky when the seals are opened. Revelation 8 has angels blowing trumpets to announce trouble. Revelation 18 and 19 show the holy city coming down. Every chapter, every picture, looks like it's being mirrored in today's sky with weird clouds and light. Then in Matthew 24, Jesus says, "When you see all these things, know that the time is near." If you pay attention, Matthew isn't just talking about earthquakes. He's talking about signs in the sky. And that's exactly what's been popping up like crazy in the 21st century. That rolling cloud wave in Panama looks like it came straight out of the sea roaring and the waves crashing. The trumpet angel looks like one of those signs in the heavens. The cloud castle looks like the New Jerusalem coming down out of heaven. And this isn't just symbolism anymore. These things are happening right in front of us, caught on plane windows, cell phones, security cameras. Nobody can say, "I didn't see it." I know some folks will say, "It's just clouds, just light, just nature." But if nature keeps lining up exactly with pictures the Bible described thousands of years ago, the harder thing to believe is that it's all an accident. A lot of you watching have already thought the same thing. And if something inside you feels uneasy, that's not your imagination. That's the nudge God put in every one of us so we'd recognize when the time is close. When these 7 signs come together, we're looking at what people long ago called the last days. It's strangely beautiful, but darkness is rising like a wave. It pulls you in and makes you want to look away at the same time. But whether we look away or not, that picture keeps growing, line by line, piece by piece. And that brings us to the one conclusion we can't dodge. God is trying to warn the world. Because when warnings come over and over, in different places, in different ways, they're not just warnings anymore. They're the final reminder. Don't you feel like time is moving faster? Don't you see the world changing in ways the old rules can't explain? That's the heartbeat of the last days. The thing the Bible describes so plainly we can't miss it. These 7 things aren't just pretty weird videos on social media. They're 7 knocks on heaven's door, and each knock is getting louder. We can watch, we can wonder, we can argue, but we can't say God didn't warn us, because He's doing exactly what He said He would, using the sky itself as a signpost for anyone willing to look up. Our time isn't long. The last days aren't just words on a page anymore. They're right above us, in the sky we look at every single day. And when the final picture is finished, nobody will be able to say they weren't told. God is calling, protecting, and getting ready to judge. The only question left is, do we hear Him? The 7 things we just saw, the face in the sky, the demon head looking threatening, the chicken spreading its wings like it's protecting something, the angel blowing the trumpet, the castle of clouds falling down, the huge feathers covering everything, and the waves of clouds rolling like a stormy sea. When you put them all together, they make one single picture, a picture of warning, of protection, and of judgment. A picture that, if you look at it long enough, you'll see God is calling, reminding, and waking up humanity all at once. Right now, the most important thing isn't what we've seen, but what we're going to do after seeing these strange signs. This is the time to repent, to pray, to turn back to the one who made the sky where these signs are showing up. This is the time to get ready for the Lord's return, not with fear, but with strong faith in His love and power. If the world feels like it's shaking, let your heart stay steady in Him. If these signs confuse you, let your faith keep you moving forward. I'd also love for you to leave a short prayer in the comments, just something honest and from the heart. Write what you want the Lord to hear, or tell us how these things made you feel. Maybe you've seen a sign like this before in your life, or maybe you just want to say, "Lord, I believe." Those few little words can become a real testimony of faith on the day He looks at every heart. And if this video woke something up in you or made your trust in God stronger, please hit the like button, share it with others, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. What's happening out there is too big to keep to ourselves. And who knows, you might be the one God uses to bring somebody home right on time. Finally, in the middle of all the chaos, threats, and upheaval these 7 signs carry, one thing never changes: the promise of eternal glory. One day, every fear will be gone, every tear wiped away, and the holy city coming down from heaven will shine brighter than any cloud we've ever seen on this earth. Hold tight to that hope. It's the light that carries us through the last days of this world and right into the everlasting life He's prepared for us.
Where officials say the country's water reserves have dropped to their lowest level.
Rivalries maybe? Today we are focusing on another issue that is plaguing
Euphrates River used to near Khaled Al-Hamis's farm.
This. Am I the only one that sees that? Is that a fallen angel right there?
The Euphrates River, the one that cradled the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia, is changing in ways nobody has ever seen before. In 2025, NASA satellite pictures showed Lake Tharthar hitting its lowest level since '92, and Al Jazeera reported that Iraq is going through its worst drought since 1933. That's left millions of folks with failed crops, no water, and just plain hopeless. But what's happening isn't only climate change. It feels like whispers coming up from deep in the earth, strange vibrations, telling us something big is getting close. And maybe, just maybe, this is the moment we have to look the truth right in the eye. Time is running out faster than we think. As the Euphrates keeps dropping, weird things are starting to show up. Tall columns of water shooting straight up from the riverbed, huge shadowy figures in the morning mist, whole ancient cities suddenly appearing again, like they've been pulled back from the past. You might figure this is just internet rumors, but why is everything happening all at once, right when the Bible said it would? Revelation 16:12 says the Euphrates will dry up to make a path for the kings from the east. Revelation 9:14-16 warns about 4 angels that are tied up under that river, waiting to be set free. Doesn't that give you chills? 2025 isn't just another year of drought, wars, and wild weather. It's the year all the prophecies seem to be lining up, where people, nature, and history are shouting the same warning together. In today's video, we're going to look real close at 7 scary things happening along the Euphrates and ask the big question: are these the end-time signs the Bible talked about? So stick around. You don't want to miss any of this. Right now, let's dive in together and check out the 7 unexplained, downright strange things that have been showing up on the Euphrates as the water keeps disappearing day by day. 1. The mighty Euphrates River is now just cracked, empty dirt. In 2025, the Euphrates, the river once called the breath of Mesopotamia, has hit the lowest, driest point ever recorded in history. According to CSIS and NASA, the water flow has dropped by 60%, turning a huge, proud river into nothing but patches of dry, cracked mud. Picture this: a river that used to feed millions of people is now just sun-baked streaks of earth that look like scars that'll never heal. This isn't a warning anymore. It's a wake-up call. It's not just nature doing this. Al Jazeera says 2025 is the driest year Iraq has seen since 1933. On top of that, Turkey's big dams, upriver dams, are holding back most of the water, so hardly anything reaches Syria and Iraq now. A report from World Weather Attribution says human activity has made droughts in the Middle East 25 times worse. And the scariest part? Everything is hitting at once, so fast that folks down there don't have time to react. Satellite pictures show something even harder to look at. The Euphrates doesn't even look like a river anymore. It's more like a giant mud ditch cutting through land that used to be green and rich. More than 46 million people in Syria and Iraq are hurting bad. Farmers are walking away from their fields because the wells are bone dry. Fish dead all over what's left of the water. And ancient cities suddenly showing up out of the riverbed, like the past is pushing up to remind us of something. If you've seen those videos of people walking across a river bottom that used to be 20 or 30 feet deep, you know how quiet and eerie it feels. But what really gives you chills isn't just the science, it's how perfectly this lines up with the Bible. Revelation 16:12 says, the Euphrates River dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. That's talking about the road to Armageddon. And Jeremiah 50-38 says about Old Babylon, a drought will strike her waters, and they will dry up. When two different places in Scripture both point to the same river going dry, you can't just call it a coincidence. Sure, some folks will say, it's just climate cycles. IFL Science said the Euphrates might dry up by 2040 anyway. Okay, but the question isn't when science thought it would happen. It's why everything is slamming into place right now in 2025. At the same time as wars, disasters, and the world feeling like it's losing its moral compass. Science tells us how. The Bible tells us why. That's why we've got to look this straight in the eye. The Euphrates drying up isn't only an environmental disaster. It's a sign written down thousands of years ago. Like Matthew 24-37:3-9 warned, the end will come suddenly, just like in Noah's day, when people were still eating, drinking, getting married, and never saw the danger coming. The drying of the Euphrates is the loudest alarm bell yet that things are changing faster than we think. And honestly, this is only the first one. Keep watching, because what's coming next is even heavier. 2. Strange scene. River boiling and shooting water, straight up before drying out completely. The weird part is, right before the river drained almost dry, a lot of folks saw and recorded videos of these violent columns of water shooting straight up into the sky, like some invisible hand was pushing from down below. Videos that blew up all over Middle East. Social media in 2025 show water blasting several yards high, spinning into perfect circles, then exploding like a big drum. The scariest thing, no wind, no earthquake, no normal reason at all. You get the same creepy feeling I do? The more you watch, the more it feels like something that doesn't belong in our world. This was happening along many parts of the Euphrates River, close to places Syria had already reported oil spills and weak ground. But this time the water didn't seep or leak. It shot out hard and sudden, almost like a breath from something waking up under the riverbed. Local geologists tried to explain it as trapped methane gas or ground collapse, but when you look close at the videos, those water columns make perfect, smooth circles every single time. Nothing like the messy, random bursts you get from natural gas. And here's what really gives people chills. Right before each blast, there were deep, booming sounds coming from underground, like a muffled roar. People said the ground under their feet shook a little. Not a real earthquake, more like a vibration from way, way down. For a lot of folks, that didn't feel like plain old nature talking. It felt like a warning. The Bible actually talks about a moment just like this. In Revelation, page 214, verse 9-14 says, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." That word bound isn't just pretty talk. It means something powerful is being held back, waiting for the right moment to move, making the earth shake and the water act strange. A lot of Bible teachers say that kind of rising up is always tied to weird things happening in nature. So when water suddenly blasts out of the riverbed like the first breath after a long sleep, a lot of believers start asking, could this be the sign? It also brings to mind Exodus, page 56, verse 720. The water in the river was changed as a sign of coming judgment. In the Bible, calm water only turns violent when something has gone outside the natural order. These sudden columns of water, happening right when the Euphrates is at its lowest point ever recorded, make many people feel this isn't just chance. It's a strong but quiet reminder. Of course, plenty of folks are skeptical. Some say it's only geology, gas trapped underground, finally breaking free when the mud dries and cracks. That sounds reasonable. But if it's only geology, why does it keep happening on the exact river the Bible warned about? Why right now when the Euphrates is drier than ever? Why are the whirlpools perfectly round, like someone is shaping them? Science can explain how it works, but it can't explain why now or why here. That timing is what nobody can ignore. When you put all the pieces together, it really feels like the first breath from the deep, telling us the next chapter for mankind is starting. The Bible never said the end would begin with a huge crash. Most of the time, it starts with small tremors. And the Euphrates, in 2025, with water shooting up like warning signals, is turning into pretty clear proof that the last days aren't far off. I believe this isn't just a strange sight at the bottom of a river. It's a gentle push to turn back to God, to be humble, to repent, and to pray. Because when the ground under our feet starts to breathe, the best thing we can do is make sure our souls are ready. 3. Shadowy winged figures appearing in the mist along both banks of the river. When the Euphrates hit its lowest water level ever recorded, strange things started showing up in the morning fog. Hundreds of videos from Iraq and Syria in 2025 all caught the same thing. A huge winged figure standing perfectly still in the thick white mist, like a living statue. At first, folks thought it was just light playing tricks, but the more you watch, the more you realize, no, that ain't it. You get that same chill down your spine like I do? Like something on the other side of an invisible curtain is looking right back at you. Here's the thing. These figures only started showing up after the water dropped so low, it left deep black holes right in the middle of the riverbed. Old-timers who've lived their whole lives on those banks say they've never seen anything like it before. The shapes popped up in different spots. Didn't matter which way the sun was hitting. No wind. Nothing around that could cast a shadow like that. They'd appear, stand there a while, then just melt away like smoke, leaving nothing behind. Plenty of experts tried to figure it might be some kind of optical illusion, but the ones like the Brocken specter only happen when the person filming is standing higher than the shadow and the sun is behind them. In most of these videos, the folks are down on flat ground, even looking straight along the fog, so it can't be light bouncing around. And when the exact same tall winged shape keeps showing up in different places at the same time, well, that's way beyond normal. The Bible talks about beings that appear between heaven and earth when the barrier gets thin. Revelation, chapter 9, verses 1 through 11, describes things coming up out of the bottomless pit, looking something like locusts, but with the power of fallen angels. Not the bright shining kind, dark ones that had been locked away. When you put that description next to these misty figures on the Euphrates, a lot of folks get goosebumps. Tall, still, winged, then gone like smoke. Too close for comfort. Then there's Daniel, chapter 4, verse 13, talking about a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven. These watchers were the ones keeping an eye on mankind, showing themselves when big changes were coming. Seeing winged figures right when the river that plays such a big part in end-time prophecy runs dry? Well, a lot of believers figure the wall between our world and the spirit world is cracking. Of course, plenty of people still say, just an illusion. Videos are edited. Deepfakes. Fair enough. But when dozens of different people with old phones and security cameras all catch the same shape in the same stretch of river at the same moment the water hits bottom, the odds of every single one being fake are pretty much zero. This isn't random anymore. It's a sign. Put it all together. River dried up, ground shaking, water shooting up like geysers, and now these winged shadows in the fog, and you can't help but feel a chill. The veil between the spirit world and ours is getting real thin. This isn't just weird weather or tricks of the light. It feels like a wake-up call that the next chapter of God's plan is opening up right in front of us. These figures aren't here to scare us. They're here to remind us to get ready. Because when angels, or the ones who used to be angels, start stepping out of the morning mist, the day the Lord comes back is a whole lot closer than it used to be. Stay awake and keep your heart right. 4. The ancient city of Kimuhu and the sealed tunnel under the riverbed come to light. In 2025, when the water in the Euphrates River dropped to the lowest level ever recorded, something that had been sleeping deep underground suddenly saw daylight again. A 3,400-year-old city called Kimuhu rose up after thousands of years. Old clay tablets covered in ancient writing lay there clear as day under the hot sun. But what really took everybody's breath away was this. Right next to it, a tunnel sealed tight with huge stone slabs, like somebody long ago was dead set on keeping whatever was inside from ever getting out. The city and the tunnel weren't buried under sand, they were right under the river itself. When the water pulled back, foundations and old walls just showed up, like history decided to wake up on its own. The dust hadn't even settled yet, but Kimuhu got people's imaginations running wild. Did this place once hide something supernatural? Something the ancients didn't want anyone to know about? You could almost hear the echoes. Secrets, darkness, power buried deep. Some archaeologists say it's just a normal find. An old city, a lost civilization. Nothing strange about it turning up when the river runs dry. But if it's so ordinary, why did it happen right when the Euphrates hit its lowest point ever? And if it's just chance, why is that tunnel sealed so perfectly? Like it was meant to lock away something nobody was ever supposed to see. A lot of believers look at Kimuhu and remember what the Bible says in Genesis chapter 6, verse 4, about the days of the Nephilim, when giants were on the earth, mighty beings that were part God, part man. Then in Revelation chapter 9, verse 16, it talks about an army of 200 million that gets released from where they've been locked away in hidden pits and prisons. Could Kimuhu and that sealed tunnel be one of those prisons? Did these walls once hold back a forbidden power? An ancient plan mankind was never meant to know about? When you put it all together, the river drying up, the ground opening, the old city appearing, the sealed tunnel, it doesn't feel like just another dig. It feels like history waking up, like a message. Some secrets aren't meant to stay buried forever. Some warnings from the past we've forgotten. Some ancient powers just waiting for the right moment to come back. And maybe, just maybe, we're living in that moment right now. If you're feeling uneasy or doubtful, ask yourself this. Are you brave enough to look straight at things that have been locked away for thousands of years? Are you willing to admit the world might not be exactly what we've always thought? Because if Kimuhu is real, and that tunnel is real, then behind that darkness might be a door swinging open to something mankind has never wanted to face. Keep your heart open and your faith in the Bible strong, because sometimes the sleeping secrets are really the doorway to the truth. And Kimuhu, with its stone walls, clay tablets, and sealed tunnel, might just be the warning we're not supposed to ignore. 5. Discovering an ancient cave with strange prison-like structures and weird sounds. Every once in a while, something gets found that makes you stop dead in your tracks. Not because it's pretty, but because it gives you the creeps right down to your bones. And in 2025, when the Euphrates River dropped so low it set off every alarm bell, a whole chain of ancient caves suddenly showed up, like the ground itself opened its mouth to tell us something. Local folks said at first they only saw little cracks, but the closer they got, the clearer it became. Those weren't natural fissures. They were doorways into something that had been sealed shut for thousands and thousands of years. Early surveys dated the cave system anywhere from 4,000 to 10,000 years old. But what really shook the archaeologists and the locals wasn't the age. It was the creepy stuff inside. Deep holes chiseled into the rock for chains, rusty metal rings still stuck in the walls, grooves worn smooth like something had been tied up there for centuries. Deep inside was one sealed room that looked exactly like a jail cell, too perfect to be just a regular living space. Try to picture it. Who needs chains and shackles in an ancient cave? And what exactly were they chaining up? Things got really spooky when the sound started. Plenty of witnesses say they heard low moans, soft tapping, or heavy, muffled breathing coming from behind solid rock walls. Not wind, not animals. The noises followed a pattern, almost like something was trying to talk, or trying to get out. One guy filming was shaking so bad the whole video wobbles. It's right behind the wall, and it knows we're here. Sounds crazy, sure, but dozens of people heard the same thing day after day. When scholars compared notes, a lot of Bible experts immediately thought of the book of Enoch, chapter 10, verses 4 through 6, where the fallen watchers are locked away in darkness under the earth. And 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4, says plainly that angels who sinned were thrown into gloomy dungeons and chained up until Judgment Day. Could this cave be one of those prisons the old texts talk about? The chain holes, the sealed cell, the strange noises, everything lines up in a way that's hard to brush off. Of course, plenty of folks say it's just wind whistling through cracks or wild animals. But sound experts who studied the recording say the noises have rhythm and structure, nothing like any known natural sound. And here's the kicker. Why did it only start when the Euphrates dried up enough to uncover the whole system? Why right now, in 2025, when so many prophetic signs seem to be piling up? If the hair on the back of your neck is standing up, you're not alone. A lot of us feel this isn't just another random discovery anymore. It feels like a wake-up call. Like ancient powers that were locked away long ago are stirring. The wall between what we can see and what we can't is getting thinner by the day, and maybe the Lord is trying to get our attention before it's too late. So while those strange echoes keep coming up from deep underground, the message stays the same. Don't look for answers in fear. Look for them in God. Because when darkness starts to rise, faith is the only thing that'll keep us standing. 6. The strange red eye in the sky, looking down on the Euphrates River. There are moments so hard to believe that you start doubting your own eyes, and this is one of them. It wasn't a natural disaster, it wasn't a mirage. It was something that felt like a gaze watching mankind from above. It all started on a still, windless night along the banks of the Euphrates, a river that's drying up and showing its rocky bottom here in 2025. A small group of local folks looked up and saw two glowing red spots hanging in the pitch-black sky. At first they figured it was just airplanes, but the dead silence all around told them different. Those lights didn't stay still. They pulsed slow and steady, like the heartbeat of something alive that was studying us. Every time the red glow grew bigger and then shrank back, the shallow water at their feet seemed to tremble for a split second. No sound, no wind, just that red stare quietly following them. The people who saw it up close said it felt like being scanned by something that could see right through you. They didn't hear a thing, yet every single one talked about the same heavy, uneasy feeling rising in their chest, like standing in front of a judgment you can't run from. Strange part was how the light never moved like a plane or drone. It just stayed there, on purpose. Once the video hit the internet, the usual doubters jumped in fast. Some said satellite, some said Mars. A few swore it was military flares. But when people checked the satellite tracks, radar logs, and star charts, nothing lined up. Whatever it was, it didn't match anything we've built or anything we know about the sky. That's when a lot of Bible readers went back to Scripture and got chills. Revelation 1:14 talks about the Lord's eyes being like blazing fire, and Proverbs 15:3 says, "The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, watching the good and the evil." And now, right when the Euphrates, the river tied to so many end-time prophecies, is drying up, this red eye shows up. Hard to call that a coincidence. Some folks insist it's just a rare weather thing, an atmospheric trick. Okay, but if it's only nature, why did it appear in exactly the right place, at exactly the right time, in exactly the setting the Bible talked about thousands of years ago? And if it's just a light in the sky, why did every witness feel the same shiver, like they were being seen clear down to the bone? These days, we try to explain everything with science, but every once in a while, something stops us cold and makes us wonder, is heaven trying to tell us something? Could this be a wake-up call before the final judgment? A reminder that we're not alone, and every single thing we do is seen by the Most High? Believe it or not, that red eye in the sky is still out there like a sign nobody can ignore. And as the old prophecies keep lining up with what we're seeing today, the real question isn't, what was that thing? It's, are we ready? 7. A whole herd of buffalo suddenly took off running like they were trying to get away from something. Have you ever seen a big bunch of animals panic and run for their lives all at once? If not, you're about to see it right now. What happened up in those mountains near the drying up river in 2025 was way beyond anything normal. It wasn't just survival instinct. It felt more like nature itself was trying to warn us. The local folks said they heard a loud rumbling from far off before they even saw anything. When they got to the edge of the hill, there were hundreds of buffalo charging like something invisible was chasing them. No earthquake, no predators around, no loud explosions, nothing that should have scared them that bad. The lead bulls didn't even stop to sniff the air or look around. They just ran, straight down into the valleys, and then circled back with the herd, eyes wide open and on high alert like you wouldn't believe. The ones in the back were crashing into rocks and trees and didn't even slow down. It was like every single one of them got the same signal at the exact same moment, a signal we humans couldn't hear. The wildlife experts came quick, but nobody could figure it out. No predator tracks, no earthquakes, no sudden temperature drop. A whole herd stampeding like that usually only happens when there's a really big threat. But here, the threat was completely invisible. Some people shrugged and said it was just random animal behavior. But here's the scary part. The buffalo started running right when a bunch of other strange signs showed up around that same drying river. When animals, the creatures most in tune with nature, all freak out at the exact same time the sky and the ground start acting weird, can we really just call it a coincidence? The Bible talked about this a long time ago, a time when the whole creation has been groaning. Romans 8:22. Nature doesn't just sit there, it feels things, and sometimes it tries to warn us before we figure it out ourselves. Luke 21:25 talks about signs in the sun, moon, and stars before the end comes. So was that herd just having a bad day, or was creation itself trying to tell us something? The people who saw it said the whole mountain felt restless. There was just a light breeze and a clear sky, but the air felt heavy, like something big was coming. The one thing everybody knew for sure, those buffalo weren't running for no reason. They were running from something us humans hadn't noticed yet. While we're busy trying to explain it away, the animals probably understand a lot better than we do. And if even they have to run for it, then we, with our souls and our responsibility to our Creator, better wake up fast. Sometimes the first warning doesn't come from people. It comes from the creatures that live closest to the earth and the sky. It's hard to look at the world in 2025 without feeling some invisible clock ticking louder on all of us. What's happening with the Euphrates River isn't just about nature. It's running right alongside the slow rot we're seeing everywhere. Reports about religious violence, people getting hated on, or worse for leaving their faith in Sudan, Humanists International, or religion getting twisted more and more into politics, BBC. Those are just the surface of something eating away inside. Sociologists are warning about a kind of cold-hearted division we've never seen before, Wahachi MC, where folks are losing whatever mercy they had left and turning mean without even blinking. It feels exactly like what it says in 2 Timothy 3, verses 1 through 5. People loving themselves, proud, ungrateful, with no morals. And now those old words are jumping off the page and walking around in real life. You turn on the news any day, and there it is. War getting worse in Ukraine. Fighting flaring up again and again in the Middle East. Hate exploding all over social media. Church membership is dropping all over the world. So apostasy, walking away from the faith, isn't just a fancy word anymore. It's happening. And the scariest part, most people don't even feel bad about it anymore. Like the world's conscience is going dark. The Euphrates drying up isn't only a map thing, it's a mirror showing how dried up we've gotten on the inside too. Matthew 24, verse 12 hits hard. Because evil keeps growing, the love of most people will grow cold. Look around, broken families, everybody numb to everybody else. And it feels like that prophecy is playing on live TV. These signs aren't just up in the sky or down in the ground. They're running straight through the neighborhoods we live in. We've pushed God out of the center of everything. And when you turn off the light, darkness moves right in. All these wars, the hatred, the worldwide mess of right and wrong, it's not random. It's the exact stage the Bible calls the last days. The question isn't, is this real anymore? It's how much time do we have left before everything that was warned about actually shows up for good. Because when nature, society, and people's hearts are all changing at once exactly the way Scripture said they would thousands of years ago, we're probably not just watching the prophecy anymore, we're living right in the middle of it. When we look back at everything that's happening right now, from the Euphrates River drying up so low you can see the bottom, to the strange things showing up along its banks, and the way decency seems to be slipping away all around us, it's clear these aren't just random events. They're pieces of a puzzle slowly coming together into one big picture. A picture the Bible talked about a long, long time ago. The last days won't come with a loud thunderclap. They'll come with a bunch of quiet signs scattered here and there that finally add up to a warning nobody can ignore. And as those pieces keep fitting together more and more, we can't just stand there, shrug, and look the other way. This isn't the time to act like nothing's going on. This is the time to slow down, get quiet, and ask ourselves, where do we stand with the Lord right now? The river running dry, nature acting up, all the mess and confusion in the world. It's pushing every one of us toward a crossroads where we've got to take a good look at ourselves and turn toward the real light. The Bible tells us in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 2 and 3, that the day the Lord comes back will be like a thief in the night. People will be saying, "Oh, everything's fine. We're safe," and then sudden disaster will hit. That's not meant to scare us. It's meant to wake us up, because God doesn't want a single person to be lost. He wants everyone to have the chance to wake up, say they're sorry, and come home to Him. So if you're reading this, take it as a gentle but urgent invitation. Get back into your Bible. Put your trust in Him. Pray every single day so your heart doesn't get dragged down by all the darkness out there. Don't let busy schedules, discouraging news, or little temptations pull you away from the life that lasts forever. Be one of the lights, not with big loud words, but with small, honest actions that spread kindness and mercy to every person you meet. And right in the middle of all the shaking going on, never forget, the Bible doesn't end with fear. It ends with hope. Revelation 21 verse 4 says God Himself will wipe away every tear. And in the new heaven and new earth, there'll be no more death, no more crying, no more pain. That's not a fairy tale. That's a promise from the one who made everything. These last days aren't the end of the story. They're the beginning of forever, where light wins completely. So just for this moment, open your heart. If you feel like it, drop a short prayer in the comments for yourself, your family, or this hurting world. Or just tell us what you think. Do you see all these signs adding up and believe we're getting close to the end? Or do you think it's just coincidence? If these words touched you at all, I'd be grateful if you'd like, share, and subscribe so we can keep walking this road together, looking at the prophecies, remembering the warnings, and holding on to the hope of His coming. Every time you share, you might be the one God uses to help somebody else find the light. And sometimes, one quiet reminder is all it takes to change a person's whole life. May the Lord's peace settle deep in your heart tonight. Lord, open our eyes to see, open our ears to hear, and open our hearts to come back to You. Amen.
We'll all see the building of the third temple in Jerusalem.
Senate just months before, I recognized Jerusalem as the capital.
Attracted global attention. Well, today, those cows are in ancient Shiloh.
City. It is forever our city. It will never be divided again.
Argument that it was somewhere else like the city of David, and that this was the Antonia fortress. This is...
It's an honor to be here with the first Jewish president of the United States.
Jerusalem is stirring. The Temple Mount, the holiest place on earth, is sending out signals the Bible talked about thousands of years ago. This isn't just regular archaeology or politics anymore. These are signs, and they're happening right now. Have you noticed? Everything tied to the Temple Mount in the last few years feels like pieces of a prophecy puzzle falling into place. From finding that perfect red heifer to mysterious tunnels being dug under the ancient foundations, it's all pointing to one thing. The third temple is about to be rebuilt. Revelation 11 warns about a temple that will be measured right in the middle of chaos. 2 Thessalonians 2 says, the Antichrist will sit in that very temple and claim he's God. If that happens, you know what's next. The end times, the tribulation, 7 years that will change everything for the whole world. And here's the scary part. The year 2025, the one we're living in right now, lines up with timelines prophecy scholars have been talking about for years. Israel, that fig tree in Matthew 24, is budding, the world is shaking, and everything is running right on the Bible's schedule. Lately, a lot of folks say they've been feeling something strange. Do you feel it too? Like time is speeding up, one big event piling on top of another, and we're getting real close to the moment everything changes. And the wild thing is, the second that first stone of the third temple gets laid, mankind officially steps into the last days, and that moment might be a lot closer than you think. So come with me, and let's look closer at how the Bible warned us about this very thing thousands of years ago. Don't miss a single detail. You ready to dig in with me? I can hardly wait another second. Let's get started. First, we're going to look into this huge ritual that's the very first step, kicking off a whole chain of prophetic events. It's the red heifer ceremony. And it'll answer the question, why did these perfect red heifers that Israel spent years searching for show up right now, of all times? For over 2,000 years, an entire nation has been desperately looking for something that seemed impossible. A completely perfect red heifer. Not one white hair, not one scratch, never had a yoke on her, not a single thing wrong. To a lot of folks, this sounds like some old legend. But in the Bible, it's the one thing you absolutely need to restart worship in the temple, a door that's been slammed shut since 70 AD and hasn't opened once since then. And now, right in the middle of the craziest time the world's ever seen, the impossible happens. They found 5 perfect red heifers. And it happened in 2025. You think that's just a coincidence? Me? I don't think so. Feels a whole lot like everything's been planned for a real long time, like a puzzle piece sliding into place exactly when it's supposed to, as this whole prophetic picture starts coming clear. In Numbers 19, verses 2 through 3, the Lord told Moses, "This is the ordinance of the law which the Lord has commanded. Tell the children of Israel to bring you a red heifer without blemish, in which there is no defect, and on which a yoke has never been laid." The ashes from that ceremony, mixed with water, were used to cleanse anyone who'd been around death, something the priests, the Kohanim, have to serve in the temple. No ashes, no temple, no sacrifices, no ceremonies, no worship the way God laid it out. You see how scary that is? One little ritual, but it's the key that turns the whole system on. For 2,000 years, not a single one qualified. Not one. That made building the third temple pretty much impossible. But then in 2022, 5 red heifers were flown in from Texas to Israel, watched like hawks by the Temple Institute, the Jewish group that spent decades getting ready to rebuild the temple. Israel 365 News reported that all 5 passed every single inspection. But by August 2025, they got disqualified because of a few white hairs. Just one hair is all it takes to ruin the whole thing. Doesn't it feel almost on purpose? But here's the really chilling part. They haven't slowed down one bit. In July 2025, they held a full rehearsal of the red heifer burning on the Mount of Olives, right across from the Temple Mount. The practice run got stopped because of 2 black hairs. But that event showed one thing loud and clear. They're ready. By October-November 2025, the Temple Institute and the Sanhedrin officially announced 4 new candidates are being watched up in Shiloh. The priests are still training with fake ashes from the rehearsal, and the earliest the real ceremony could happen is spring 2026, if the heifers qualify. Charisma magazine said it plain. This is the first time in 2,000 years we have real candidates. This isn't just wishful thinking anymore. This is preparation. When you line it up with the Bible, this fulfills Numbers 19 completely. But it also opens the door to the promise in Ezekiel 36, 24 through 27. where God says he'll cleanse his people and restore the temple. In prophecy, the red heifer ashes are the trigger that starts the whole chain in Daniel 9:27. The Antichrist makes a 7-year covenant, lets the sacrifices start again, then stops them halfway through and causes the sacrifice and oblation to cease. And then 2 Thessalonians 2:4 says that man sits in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. All the pieces are clicking into place. And it's happening so fast, it gives you chills. On social media, prophecy watchers like Mystery Scansp 1 are posting, Red Heifer Ceremony Update 2025. We have the ashes. Half the world is excited. The other half is terrified. So where are you? Which side are you on? The Red Heifer story isn't just about some weird old ritual. It's proving something way scarier. History isn't random. It's following the Bible, word for word. And if these heifers really do qualify next year, you and I might be the generation that sees something mankind has waited for and dreaded for over 2,000 years. The last days beginning. So when those first bricks get laid down, what's going to happen? Do you see it? A picture that's been sketched out for ages is slowly coming into focus. If the red heifer is the final key to purification, then that first stone is the foot on the gas pedal that kicks off the whole rebuilding process, not with hammers and concrete, but with mindset, symbols, and the quiet shifting of people's hearts. Back in October 2025, something that looked like a small thing suddenly rang a big alarm bell. A new road sign popped up near Mitzpe Jericho, pointing to House of the Lord, May be Assis. At first glance, it looked exactly like an official government sign. Clean, professional, in the right spot. But it was put up guerrilla style by activist groups. And here's the kicker. It wasn't the only one. In just a few weeks, dozens of the same signs went up all over Jerusalem. They didn't even try to hide what they were about. Some even used straight Bible language like Beit Hashem. According to JNS.org, this wasn't just whispers in fringe groups anymore. It turned into loud, bold public statements. Locals, tourists, the media, everybody saw them. And that's the turning point, when an idea that used to freak people out starts feeling normal. More signs kept coming, like someone was deliberately clearing the path. Giant murals of the Third Temple started showing up on the walls of Jerusalem's old city, hitting everybody right in the eyes and the imagination. Temple flags started flying from rooftops, flapping in the wind like they're saying, it's time. Then, the Temple Institute opened its big new visitors center, not some little exhibit, but a full-blown place with a 1:5:0 scale model of the temple built exactly to Bible and rabbinic specs. You don't just look, you walk through, you feel it, you start picturing it, and you get used to the idea that a third temple is coming, like it's inevitable. But the real jolt came from the numbers. The group Be'adenu says close to 70,000 Jews went up to the Temple Mount in the Hebrew year 5,785. That's a 22% jump from the year before. Modern day record, and it's not random. Just in the month of Tishrei alone, there were 9,500 visits, up more than 55%. On Tisha B'Av, over 4,000 went up, and leading the pack was National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. First time in decades, a high-ranking official not only went up, but prayed openly. Technically, that breaks the status quo, but they let it slide. Bend the rule once, it gets bent again and again, until the old rule is gone. The Temple Institute has been ready for years. They've made 12 full sets of priestly garments, tunics, ephods, breastplates, exactly like Exodus 28 says. Gold and silver instruments, trumpets, censers, shovels, all finished. The first solid gold menorah in 2,000 years, made with a huge amount of pure gold, Torah perfect. They've got complete architectural plans blending modern engineering with every Bible requirement, and they've been training over 500 Kohanim since 2018. They say if they get the green light, they could build the temple in about 3.5 years. Charisma magazine put it this way: 70,000 visits means the prophetic clock is ticking. You can't brush this stuff off, because it lines up in a scary way with what Jesus said in Matthew 24-32, 3-4. Learn the lesson from the fig tree. When you see all these things, know that he is near, right